Guys, take a deep breath. We lost the game and we have to deal with it. And all the things I've been saying to you guys over the last month has come to fruition. So let's go over them, shall we? We lost the ability to have one of the best goalkeepers in the league. We're trying to buy two prime players now with 100 million euros by scraping the bottom of the barrel to get by. Things have to be done now. We are carrying players on this team that you just cannot support. 11 players against 11 players. That's how the game's played. And yesterday we had Aubameyang who didn't turn up, Willian who didn't turn up, Bellerin who didn't turn up, Tierney who didn't turn up, the guy who got hauled off, Xhaka who didn't turn up. That is half the team. That's 5 players in a game against the best team in the league and one of the best teams in Europe, Champions League winner, league title winner over the last 12 months. And you cannot walk in there with 5 of your players dragging their feet. Yeah? So that's the first thing out of the way. So regardless of what anyone wants to say about the result, we didn't play well and Arteta didn't pick a good system. He didn't pick a good lineup. I wanted him to pick Nketiah and El Nene because that means so much, and Gabriel, because that means so much to what Liverpool are actually throwing at you. And Arteta decided not to do that. I don't know why. I don't know whether he was thinking about Thursday's game. I don't understand it. I don't know why. And I didn't even mention Lacazette in that respect. Lacazette got on the goal sheet, so you got to give him credit for that. But apart from that, he absolutely did nothing for the rest of the game. His job is to pin down the pivot man, which we saw Nketiah do in the Community Shield final. And Fabinho had nobody around him. He had so much space. I don't know whether that's just down to Lacazette or I don't know whether that's down to Arteta not implementing the same tactics. You can't set up in the same way, but don't get your front three to empower, put their stamp on the game in the way that they did at the Emirates and the way that they did in the Community Shield and the way that they did against Man City. Those were the tactics that worked. And for some reason, what we saw last night was just half-baked. It was just half-cooked. And look, even with all of this, Arsenal after an hour was still in a shout of getting a result in the game. Had Lacazette buried that chance, it would have been at 2-2 and it would have changed the game in its entirety. I don't want to talk about the officiating. The ref was absolutely horrible. There were tackles, they were free kicks that I thought were free kicks, and I thought, great, this is a great position. No whistle and the game carried on. I was like, what? We're right on the edge of the box. That would be a chance for Willian to do one of his special free kicks. Nothing. And then there's the elbow from Mane, which should have been a red card. And look, I'm not even going to talk about the handball, which led to the third goal. No VAR, no review, no nothing. And you know if that was an Arsenal player, yeah? We've seen many times in the league before. Remember when Nketiah got a red card? We saw that happen in 2 other games on the same day and nothing was given. Absolutely not even one of them, even after VAR review, gave nothing. But Nketiah got a red card. Guys, these are the battles that we have to fight uphill when you're a team who's finished 8th. I'm sorry, but that's just the way how the game's played. When you're champions, you're entitled. When you're playing at Old Trafford, you're entitled. But when you're an Arsenal team who is scraping the bottom of the barrel, you finished 8th, and you're in an uphill battle, these are the kind of wars that you have to fight. And I feel bad for Arteta. And again, I said, I've been repeating these things to you over and over again, guys. Don't feel bad about losing to this team. We got bigger battles to fight. And when I mean bigger battles, I mean teams that we are on par with. Liverpool is not our competition this season. They really aren't. They finished 40 points ahead of us last season and 18 points above Manchester City. Believe me, Liverpool's not the battle we're trying to fight. So in that respect, we have bigger fish to fry. I'm not going to talk about the game on Thursday because whatever will be, will be. But that starts with the game on Sunday at the Emirates against Sheffield United, a team that in 4 games ain't even hit the back of the net yet. We need to convincingly go in there and get a result and get back on track because October is going to be a tough month for this team. And we have to get through it. Yeah, maybe I'll take a look at that when I'm on the podcast next. I'll take a look at how many points. I'll actually put it up on the YouTube website for a poll to see what you guys are saying. I like the poll previously before. One of the biggest polls that we had was who starts, Ceballos or El Nene? You guys chose El Nene. Good choice, because he didn't let us down yet again. That's 4 for 4 now. 4 games we've played him in, and 4 games where he's had great poise, good accurate passing, not giving the ball away, all those traits that Xhaka is not showing us right now. Xhaka was awful last night. And look, when Ceballos came on, he did more in the first 5 minutes than Xhaka did all game. And it's just, you're missing that. You're missing the critical creativity. You're missing that winning duels, getting in for tackles, that supportive role. And Xhaka just, the game was by the wayside. Look, he's okay. And he's manageable with his limitations when you're playing run-of-the-mill teams. But when you're playing top-tier teams, Xhaka has to put in a performance. And he just doesn't have the physicality for games like this. It just, the speed that they just ran past him, and the lack of vision, the lack of intensity in the midfield yesterday was just awful. And one man can't do it alone. Poor El Nene was running around by himself trying to pick up the slack. He can't do it. That's why we need a party. Can you imagine El Nene and Partey sitting back there trying to shore up the defense? You know, both poised, both can get into tackles, both have got great vision and spotting danger, both have got good range, good mobility, quick into their first step. And we just don't have that at the moment. And you're not going to be favoured against teams like this if you're carrying players. It can't be 11 against 5, 11 against 6, 11 against 7, 11 against 8. You can't carry people in big games. So you get away with it against mid-table and lower teams. You can carry players then. But when you're playing teams like this, I mean, Willian, I don't know what's happened with Willian. I'm sure that Arteta will iron it out. He just hasn't looked at the races over the last 2 games. But he's a quality player and he will come through. He has that in his back pocket. Some players just don't have it in their back pocket. I said, as long as Lacazette keeps scoring, then you have to play him. But yesterday was pivotal for the defensive game. Scoring is not just all a forward has to do in the system. You're a key part in winning back the ball and keeping the shape. And he was out of position. The midfield had so many holes in it. He didn't have the energy to backtrack and support the midfield. And it's the energy that Lacazette is lacking. And that's why I think, guys, that we need to sell him. And we need to put Nketiah up front. Let Nketiah get 20 goals this season. Let him help out in the midfield. Let him help out on the backside. And let's groom a player who was waiting for stardom. He's right on the edge of stardom. And he won't shine unless we play him. You can't carry players at this level. And I love the fact that Lacazette is scoring, but for me, he just doesn't give you enough on the back end. Jamie Carragher summed it up really well. He thinks this team can get into the top 4. Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the fence with that. But I've talked about one thing before, and you guys have heard me in previous weeks say the same thing. Chelsea and Man United probably have better teams, but they don't have better managers. And Arsenal's success is privy to the fact that Mikel Arteta is punching above his weight. He really is. And when you're in games like this, it just shows all your frailties across the board. It shows it up on the top at striker. It shows it with Aubameyang's lack of off-the-ball play. It shows it with Xhaka's lack of creativity and range. It shows it with Leno's inability to provide confidence to the back 4 and deal with crossing. It shows all those frailties up. And in a game like this, you just get exposed. But even with all of that, guys, we were still within a chance of getting a result in this game. So we've just got to look forward to it. Look, I know the fan base is going to be dropping their heads today. What you need to do is you need to lift your heads and you need to keep taking those steps forward. Back the manager, back the team, regardless of what we think about some of the players who aren't pulling their weight. They have to get going and put a performance. And the way how this thing's leveling up right now, it's not like you've got a choice. It's not like you haven't got a choice. You've got choices in there, and that's why El Nene started the game. That's the reason why we have to depend on these players coming through in order to shore up what was going on yesterday. It's a real shame that Pablo Mari wasn't ready for this game, because he could have facilitated himself on the left. Gabriel, I have no idea why he didn't start. Wow. Yeah? Wow. Man of the match against Fulham. One of your best players and joint man of the match against West Ham. Then you leave him out of the team in your biggest game yet of the season against the league winners. Someone that you can actually measure him against. What is he like on the overlap? What is he like directing darts behind the back line? What is he like in recovery? What is he like on the aerial side against a top team? These are the things. I mean, Leno badly needed him yesterday. When some of the balls was coming in, we needed a powerhouse to lift up high. I mean, there was 2 crosses where Leno was actually being out jumped. Yeah? Even with Leno stretching his hands up, Van Dijk still got ahead of him. When they showed the replay on that, I was lost for words. You've got so many frailties in there in the back line that you're carrying, and to forget the fact that Martinez has gone and could have dealt with those. You've got Gabriel. You got someone who's had 11 headed clearances in the first 2 games, and then you don't play him. And the frailties just showed up all over again. The same reasons last year. Last season, we had all them guys in there, and we were the worst team against set pieces. What happened to Pepe when he came on? Everyone screaming for Pepe to start. Everyone saying Pepe should start. Those 2 corners where he could have made a difference. His deliveries have been spotless. In the last 6 months, his deliveries have been the best I've seen at Arsenal. Then he comes on and then he lays an egg. Look, man, I said, you know what, Arteta, if you're listening, when Sunday comes, please, I know you're not going to start Reece Nelson because Reece Nelson's going to play on Thursday, but boy, I would have loved to have seen Reece Nelson in a game like this. I would have loved to have seen someone who's on top of his game, is playing well, he can assist, he can go past people, he makes runs into the box, he gets back and defend and wins tackles. I would have loved to have seen someone like that. Look, how do you guys think Liverpool got a Gomez, got a Robertson, got a Trent Alexander? How do you think they got all these young players? They brought them through the academy. Yeah? How do you think Arsenal have ended up with Niles? Niles didn't play too bad yesterday, average game, wasn't really on it. But how do you think they got those players? They brought them through the system. So when you see games, don't be afraid to play Nketiah. Don't be afraid to play Reece Nelson. Don't be afraid to play Gabriel. Don't be afraid to pay your young guns. Because you know what? Your young guns would have turned up for you last night. Yeah? They have no fear. They play with passion. Last night, half of the team, 5 players, we were carrying them. And I'm going to give Tierney a blight because I didn't think he was 100% yesterday. And whether that would be 100% physical or 100% mental, he's had a tough week. And you go straight into missing a game through a slight precaution over the weekend to facing the best team in the league, one of the best teams in Europe. Yeah, bridge too far for us. Yes, it's disappointing, guys, but we have to move on. News out now is that Lyon are closing in on signing a replacement for Houssem Aouar after agreeing to an 18 million deal, that's 20 million euros, with AC Milan for Lucas Paqueta. Paqueta has reportedly said goodbye to his teammates and staff in Milan and has agreed personal terms with Lyon. So the 23-year-old Brazilian is set to sign a 5-year deal with him. How comes we didn't pull the trigger on that? But anyway, Aouar is our target, and I could see that they're kind of getting ready for him to go to Arsenal. And remember, a couple of days ago, I did say that there was a report that I received that said a 45 million deal was agreed with 10 million add-ons. And that equates to, guess what? 54 million euros, which was the asking price. So we'll have to wait a couple of days to see if we can get some confirmation on these numbers. So that's all it is. Thursday, we're doing a live watch along against Liverpool again. And let's hope that the Pitney Dem can redeem us. Really hope. Yeah? Really hope they can redeem us. Speak to you guys later, man. Peace out. Back your team. Back your team. Nice one, guys.